So far we have been looking into the linear block codes of the size n comma k, where k information bits are converted into a n bit code word vector. But we had begun with just by obtaining a parity matrix P, and then we had coded the k bits into an n bit code word. That is what we were doing, without knowing anything that how many error bits it can detect, how many error bits it can correct. Without knowing anything, we started with the linear block code, and we went on to look at the steps that are involved in the encoding procedure and as well as the decoding procedure. Now we will come to the actual reality, how these Hamming codes or the block codes are realized. Hamming codes are a type of linear block codes specifically, and these codes are capable of correcting one bit, single error bit correcting Hamming codes, okay, or linear block codes. So we are specifically going to discuss about it. Here, what is the thing is, usually we do not know the parity matrix, but we just know how many bits we want to correct. So the starting position for designing the linear block code, the starting parameter that we require is how many bits I need to correct on my receiver side. So what is that? The design parameter that we are going to pick is only the one parameter called as T, which is the error correcting capability of a linear block code. That is what we have discussed in the previous class, that the error correcting capability T of a linear block code is given by dmin minus 1. The entire thing is divided by 2, and it is a sealed version, floored version, not sealed, it is floored. Please know the difference between this representation. Sometimes in some of the expressions it is written like this, in some of the expressions it is written like this. So please try to know the difference between these two. What is the difference? What is the difference? In this case, value is, Vishali, please switch off your mic. Value is rounded off to nearest lower integer in this case, okay, whereas this operation is called as floor operation, which you might be using in Scilab in some DSP codes, and this operation is called as sealing or seal operation, where the value is rounded off to the nearest upper integer, nearest upper integer value. Okay, this is the difference between the representation. So remember this, the number of error detecting capability, the error detecting capability defines how many errors can be corrected by making use of a linear block code. So the starting value that we know here is only the value of T, which I know for this case I am considering T as equal to 1. So 1 into 2 is equal to dmin minus 1. Okay, so from this I can obtain that dmin is equal to a value equal to 3. So in order to correct a single bit error, the minimum distance, Hamming distance, okay, the minimum distance between the two code vectors should be at least equal to 3. Okay, if it is 4 means, then it might go beyond, it may not be able to correct the number of errors. So therefore dmin should be at least be equal to value equal to 3. So now we know dmin is equal to 3. Now we have to decide upon what are the n values and k values. So there are many different combinations of n and k where we can achieve this dmin. So now we have to find out what are these n and k values, because in a way dmin I know from one side, and I can also know what is the size of the message blocks. This K will also be known to a designer, because it is us that we are going to split the information into the required number of blocks. So the bits into required number of blocks. Okay, so basically K will be known. So the only unknown here is the N. I know what is the daemon that needs to be achieved, what is the input number of bits to a block, and then what are the output number of bits I am supposed to calculate. For that particular decision, what we need to do is, whenever we are considering, let's suppose, whenever we are considering the detection process, we make use of what is known as the parity check matrix, which is denoted as P transpose appended with I of N minus K, where H transpose similarly can be written as the parity matrix at the top followed by I N minus K. So this is the representation of the transposed parity check matrix. So what is this in the detection process or decoding process? How this is going to help is, we are going to map. So we make use of this matrix to map syndrome to one of its rows. Okay, one of its rows. Now let us look at how many rows are there in this transpose parity check matrix. P is of the size, as we know, it is K cross of N minus K. Right? K cross of N minus K. And this is of the size N minus K cross N minus K. So totally the number of rows in this particular case is equal to N. So this is a matrix of the size N cross of N minus K. Please remember, this is N cross of N minus K, that is the size of your transposed parity check matrix. So what we are trying to do here is, from the syndrome of the size N minus K that I am obtaining, I will go and try to map or look for the syndrome to which row, to which one of the rows of this transpose parity check matrix we are going to associate it with. So keeping that in mind, how many possible syndromes are available? I mean, how many possible syndromes can be made? We know that if the size of the syndrome matrix is given by the size of syndrome, we already know it is the size of matrix multiplication done on R multiplied with H transpose. We know that R is of the size 1 cross N multiplied by N cross of N minus K. So totally the size of S is given by N minus K. So this is the size. Right? So N minus K is the size of your syndrome vector. So keeping that in mind, if there are N minus K bits in our syndrome vector, then how many different combinations of syndrome are possible? If there are K bits available to us, the number of possible combinations of ones and zeros is 2 power K. Similarly, if I have the syndrome vector of the size N minus K, then the number of binary bits combination that are possible in order to construct a syndrome set, there will be 2 power N minus K. Okay, so what does that mean? We know that, assume that I am considering a linear block code of 7, 4 example, then the syndrome would be of the size N minus K, which is equal to 3. The number of possible syndrome combinations are 2 raised to 7 minus 4, which is equal to 8. This is quite obvious. So, out of these 8 syndromes, please remember, into this H transpose, consider the 7, 4 itself. If you are considering the 7, 4 particular case, how many rows will be here? 7 cross of 3. So you are saying that this among these 8 syndromes, all these syndromes should fit into this parity check matrix so as to I should be able to map this syndrome within this matrix. That is the idea to do the decoding process. But if you can observe here, the number of possible syndrome combinations are 8, but the number of rows that are available within the parity check matrix is 7. Why it is so? Can one of you please think and answer this? Why there are possible syndrome combinations are 8, out of which we are only having 7 of them within the transpose parity check matrix, which is the combination that is left out in this particular matrix? You have to tell me. Yes? Please think and tell me.
All zero combination.
Exactly. So we are removing while we do this mapping of the different combinations of syndrome vector and placing it in the parity check matrix, we are neglecting, please remember, we are neglecting all zero combination. So therefore, it is quite obvious only 7 of them can fit within this. So the possible syndrome combinations are 2 raised to n minus k minus 1. Fine. And obviously, the number of syndromes here that you are going to get, the number of syndromes that you are going to get should always be greater than or equal to the number of code words that you are generating. Only then I will be able to map all the available code vectors and its error form into one of these syndromes. So please try to understand this. What is this indication is the 2 raised to n minus k minus 1 within this non-zero combinations of the syndrome vector. I should be able to, the number of non-zero syndrome combinations should always be greater than or equal to the number of code vectors. Okay, the number of bits in the code vectors, This is because of the reason that we are stating that it is a single error correcting code. So therefore, let us assume if I have a 7-bit code word here, the number of error locations, the number of possible error locations are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So, in one among these locations, the error is going to occur while it is being transmitted over the channel. So, what does this mean? So, one of the positions will end up in an error at the receiver side. So, whenever I am considering a syndrome combination, the number of syndrome combinations should always be greater than the number of bits location or the number of error location, which is quite obvious. If there is a larger set of syndrome and if you are able to map one of the location into this, it is very good. It is very good because I can accommodate even more number of errors possible. I mean, if at all, if I am trying to expand or anything, if I want to do that, I will still be able to fit in or try to recognize where the bits has ended up in an error. I can easily identify by making use of that particular syndrome combination. But most of the time, when this combination or this condition becomes equal to, when this condition of the number of bits in a code word vector n, when it becomes equal to the number of syndrome vector combinations, such a code is called as a perfect code. We call such a code as perfect code, which means the number of error locations, single bit error locations are going to generate so many number of syndrome vectors, which is the n number of syndrome vectors. So such a code is called as a perfect code. So please remember this condition where this holds the key to evaluate the n value and k value for the code that we are going to construct. So we are going to start off with T, obtain daemon. So once I know the daemon value, it is equal to 3. There are different combinations of n and k, which is going to give me the combination of daemon. So in order to recognize that what is the K value I almost know. In order to know what is the n value, I am going to make use of this inequality in order to know what is this n value. How to find out the n value? Now please try to rearrange these terms so as to have all the entire equation written in terms of n. So I am going to put this one on the right hand side. The equality still holds good. Let me erase this and rewrite. So the equality that we are going to make use in order to know what is the n value is 2 power n minus k minus 1 should always be greater than or equal to number of bits in the code vector. So I am going to rearrange the terms and bring 1 to the right hand side. So this becomes like this. Taking logarithm to base 2 on both the sides, n minus k will be greater than or equal to log to base 2 of n plus 1. So what is my unknown? Unknown is n. You can bring it on one side. You can keep k on one side. So this becomes n plus log to base 2 of n plus 1. If you know n, you can write it in terms of k. If you know k, you have to do trial and error method until and unless this equation or this inequality gets satisfied. So that is what we are going to do now. We are going to construct a Hamming code which is going to give us an idea about how do we start off from the beginning onwards. So how does normally a linear block code is constructed. So there is one more key over here. Out of this, let me when I discuss about the problem, you will get to know that. So now to summarize, the code length n of a single error correcting Hamming code can be obtained by using the inequality expression n should be less than or equal to 2 raised to n minus k minus 1. Okay, the number of message bits that is used in the coding of linear block code can be expressed as k should be less than or equal to n minus log to base 2 of n plus 1. Okay, and number of parity check bits is denoted by n minus k. This is simple. And error correcting capability of a linear block code. I wrote it in the beginning itself. The error correcting capability is represented or denoted by t, which is the floored value of dmin minus 1 divided by 2. Sorry, this is floored. Okay, and then error detecting, actually you could have written this before this itself. Error detecting capability, this we have seen in one of the properties that we have discussed the other day. Error detecting capability of a linear block code is given by dmin minus 1. So these are the things that you need to know while constructing the linear block code. This n and k can vary while keeping the number of the error correcting capability a constant. You can go on changing the number of the n and k based on the message block that I have with me. Okay, so these are the expressions that you need to know while constructing a single error correcting Hamming codes. So from now on, single error correcting codes are abbreviated as SEC. Single error correcting codes are abbreviated as SEC. Wherever you see SEC, it represents single error correcting code. Okay, so let me take a particular example now. Now we are going to start off right from the beginning so as to know how actually the linear block codes are designed. It is not actually from the parity bit. Parity bit is also designed from the following by knowing certain concepts and then these expressions. So please note down this. Design n, k Hamming code design n comma k Hamming code with a minimum distance dmin is equal to 3 and message length of 4 bits. Okay, so what they have given us is the daemon they have given, which is equal to 3, and k value they have given it as 4. Now we are going to make use of the inequality that we just now stated, that the number of syndrome error combination should always be greater than or equal to the number of bits in the code word vector. So we will start off with this, and please try to find out the least possible n value such that it becomes a perfect code. Normally when we are going to do trial and error method in order to satisfy this inequality, please remember we are going to construct a perfect code. Imperfect, I mean anything beyond that n value, it's going to lead to some other type of code which we are not interested. So basically we are going to settle with the minimum value of n which is going to satisfy this inequality. So to begin with, n should be less than 2 raised to n minus 4. This entire thing is minus 1. So go on giving value for n. 1 obviously it won't satisfy. If you put n is equal to 1, obviously it won't satisfy. Anything up to the value equal to 4, it will definitely not satisfy. Right? So 4 less than or equal to 2 raised to 4 minus 4 is 0. Sorry, 2 raised to 0 it will become. So it is 1 minus 1. 4 is definitely not less than 0. So this does not hold good. Now you put n as equal to 5. So in this case it will be 2 raised to 1 minus 1. So 5 is definitely not less than 1. So this is a ruled out scenario. So n is equal to 5 is not possible. For 6 you try. It is 2 power 2 minus 1. Again you will see 6 less than 3, which is not correct. So 6 is also not possible. Put n is equal to 7. So this becomes 2 raised to 3 minus 1. Right? Now this becomes equal to on either side. The LHS becomes equal to RHS. Then therefore I can conclude that whatever the code that the minimum n value that is necessary to satisfy the given inequality is n is equal to 7. And once I construct this code, I definitely know it is going to be a perfect code. That means the number of possible error patterns will always be equal to the number of bits in the code vector. Okay, now we have known this much. So we have known the n value and then k value. So now we can address this as 7,4 Hamming code. We are going to name this as 7,4 Hamming code or single error correcting Hamming code. So how do I do this next is, we know that the number of parity bits that are available is n minus k, which is equal to 3. Okay. So daemon also they have given to us. So if daemon is known to us, what is the error correcting capability? Obviously it is equal to 1. That we can conclude. And number of possible syndrome combinations are, we know that it is 2 power n minus k minus 1. So that will be equal to a value equal to 7. Number of possible combinations are 8, but we are only settling with 7. We are only picking out of 8, we are going to pick only few of them. So now the next step, after we know all these things, the next step is to fix up with the parity check matrix, the transpose parity check matrix. So how do we write the transpose parity check matrix? It is P, matrix P, which is appended at the bottom with the I of n minus k. In this case, it is parity matrix appended by the identity matrix of the size 3. So observe here, why I am starting with the parity check matrix is because of the reason that I know that all of the rows that are constituted in a parity check matrix or transpose parity check matrix are obtained from these 8 possible combinations of the syndrome vector. So please keep that in mind, out of which all 0 combinations is left out. Now let me write all the possible combinations of syndrome vector over here, which is 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 0, 1, 1, 1, 0, 0, 1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, 1. Right? I don't think you are seeing the last 3. I'll rewrite over here. 1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, 1. So these are the 8 possible combinations. So out of this 8, all this is ruled out. We are not going to consider this. We are not going to consider the all 0 combination. Rest I am left out with only 7 combinations. How do I need to arrange these 7 syndromes along the rows of the parity check matrix is such that you have to have a parity matrix at the top followed by an identity matrix. What do you mean by an identity matrix? For I3, we have the rows of the I3 defined by 1, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 1. Now, observe here, out of the 8 possible syndromes, there are these 3 combinations also available, which is 0, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 0. Okay, so now I will filter this out and bring it as a part of H transpose, which is 1, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 1. So what am I left with? What am I left with? I am left with 0, 1, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, 1. I need to arrange these 4. I need to arrange these 4 which are they are not the part of the identity matrix. Now these 4 vectors will form the parity matrix P. Now these 4 patterns or these 4 combinations of the bits will form the parity matrix P. Okay, so keeping this in mind, the number of possible combinations, how many different combinations are possible, can anyone tell me? So this is like I need to arrange these 4 vectors in different ways. I can arrange them in different ways to achieve different parity matrix. It is not going to be the same. Okay, if you put this first, follow the same order. If you change the order, if you change the number of rows, like that, you will have different combinations. If you arrange in a different way, you are going to get different parity matrix. Now I want you people to tell me how many such possible combinations are possible. Possible by making use of these 4 matrices in order to construct a parity matrix P. I hope you got my point. Which strategy are you going to use? Permutation or combination?
Combination.
Combination, okay? Okay, why you are going to pick a combination? Can you tell me? Indirect.
Ma'am, arrangements, ma'am.
Yeah, correct. Why are we trying to pick the combinations method in order to define how many possible arrangements are there here in this case? Why? Because let's suppose if I am picking the first matrix over here, first vector over here, that is 0, 1, 1. I cannot repeat the same vector all over again. That means once you pick a vector from this, you are done. You cannot replace it again. You cannot place it back again. In permutation, what will happen? If you are going to pick a value from a group of things, then you can put that back and then you can reconsider it, right? If one slot of your parity matrix is fixed, you can regroup it with the available elements, and then again you can pick from that. That is permutation. Whereas in combination, the thing is, if you are selecting one of the element, the left, you can do the other arrangements only with the left out things, not with the already chosen one. So what you choose, the number of choices will go on reducing as and when you fill the number of rows in this particular parity check matrix. So having said that, since all the rows of your parity check matrix are unique, there should not be any repetitions of this syndrome vectors within the transpose parity check matrix. So having said that, let me consider a simple scenario for to start off with. I can write the parity matrix as in how I want as a designer. Let me make it very straight for you so that I will be making use of the same order in order to represent the parity matrix P. That means my parity matrix P is going to be 0, 1, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, 1. So it is simple one. I am going to make use of a parity matrix P where I am following just the order of the left out syndrome combinations. It is 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, 1. So this will be my parity matrix. Once I know the parity matrix, the other things are fixed for me. That means I will know the generator matrix, I can know the parity check matrix, all other things will come and fall in place. So what we will do, using this parity matrix.
Ma'am?
Yes, pardon me, yeah, tell me.
Ma'am, once again tell me,
Once again.
ma'am, how to choose the parity matrix.
Okay, so observe here, there are
Ma'am, how to choose
four combinations are there. You can arrange these four in any ways that you want. Actually, the number of possible combinations are 4 factorial. So that means 24 combinations are possible in order to arrange these 4 vectors. Let's suppose now I have taken a very simple one, that is 0, 1, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 0 in the order I have taken. Let us assume that I will put first row first, then the third row, then the second row, then the last row. Okay, I can next time I can, let me name this. I can I'll name this as 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I have 4 numbers. Assume that I will put straight in the first case, that is 1, 2, 3, 4. Next time I will write this as 1, 3, 2, 4. Okay, in the next time I will write it as 1, 4, 3, 2. Then 1, 4, 2, 3. 4, 1, 2, 3. Okay, 4, 2, 1, 3. Like this. There are multiple combinations are possible. I am trying to give you an idea, such that if you are going to write all possible scenarios, you can get up to 24 different combinations in order to represent a parity matrix. Out of which I have selected a very simple one where I have simply taken 1, 2, 3, 4. In the same order how I have written the combinations of the syndrome vector, I have taken in the same order to write the rows of the parity matrix. Okay, is that clear, Tanmay? You can choose any parity of your choice. That is totally up to you. There is no hard and fast rule that you need to follow my combination itself. You can still write 1, 0, 1 at the first row and followed by the next rows. This could come at the last. That is totally at your discretion. Because anyways these elements are fixed. Fine. Do you have any doubts?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
No, ma'am. That's
So
it.
once you have known this parity matrix, the next thing that we can do is to obtain the generator matrix. So generator matrix is just the parity matrix followed by the IK, identity matrix of the size K. So let us write that. You can either write like this, let me remind you, either you can write like this, or you can write the identity matrix first followed by your parity matrix, whichever the way that you want. Since here we have written parity first and then followed by the identity matrix, here we are going to go reverse. That is, identity will come first, identity matrix will come first, followed by the parity matrix. So how you write the parity check matrix, that is important. If you are placing like this, then you can write it as P followed by I. So here in this case it is I followed by P. So in this case the K value is 4. So it is a identity matrix of size 4 followed by the parity matrix. Let me write the generator matrix over here. That is 1 0 0 0 0 1 0 0 0 0 1 0 0 0 0 1. The parity matrix goes like this: 0 1 1 1 0 1 1 1 0 1 1 1. So this forms the generator matrix G. So once we know G, how to generate the code vector V? Code vector V is nothing but one of the message combination you are going to take, which is a message vector U. Let me write it over here. Once I know the generator matrix, everything, the generation becomes simple. That is V, vector V is equal to the message vector U into the generator matrix G. Okay, so let me consider a U combination, which is 1 0 1 0. For this, you give me the code word, the code vector V. You please find out and tell me what is the code vector for 1 0 1 0. And rewrite the generator matrix over here. Yeah, tell me the code word for this. Simple multiplication and then you tell me. The code word that you
First is 0, ma'am.
check again. It is 1 followed by 0. 1 0. The first part is anyways the message itself, so it will remain the same. Coming to the parity bits only, it will change. So it is adding the first and the last row, the first and the third row. 0 plus 1. 1 into 0 is 0. 0 into 1 is 0. 1 into 1 is 1. 0 into 1 is 0. So it is 1. Coming to the sixth bit, 1 into 1 is 1, 0 into 0 is 0, 1 into 1 is 1, 0 into 1 is 0, 1 plus 1 is also 0, so it is 0, then 1 into 1 is 1, 0, 0, 0, so it is just 1. This is the code vector that you are going to get. 1 0 1 0 1 0 1 1 0 1 0 1 0 1. Okay, so this is what is your code vector. Now assume that I have transmitted this over the channel. I have received a vector called as, or vector with the bits 1 0 0 0 1 0 1. If you find the syndrome for this, what would you get? If R is this, what will be its syndrome? Will you try and tell me now within 2 minutes? Because still we have time. Which bit has gone in error? Yes.
Ma'am, we get 110.
110. Okay, correct.
Yes, ma'am.
110. Okay, please check it again. Let us see. Okay, yeah. Syndrome is 110 because it's the third bit that is entered into the error. So the parity matrix, in the parity matrix, the third row is 110. So syndrome is 110. This is correct. So we have obtained the syndrome. Now we can easily map to the transpose parity check matrix. It will point out to the third one. So I can write the error pattern as 001 0000. So I can correct, therefore I can obtain the actual transmitted code word by adding R and E together, so that I am going to get 1010101. I'll get back my information, and out of this the first 4 bits will be my information bits followed by the parity bits. Okay, and the error correcting capability T can be found out as I said. It is d min minus 1 divided by 2. D min is already known to us, which is 3 minus 1 divided by 2, which is equal to 1. Okay, so this is it, like how to construct a Hamming single error correcting Hamming code. So we are going to stop it over here, but we will see the decoding, standard decoding procedure, which is much more easier when it happens in a real time. It is not going to do so much of a computation, but rather it's going to be even more simplified thing. So that we will see it in the tomorrow's class.